Why do you YouTube and podcast? Let's say specifically YouTube.
I was thinking about it. I've thought about it a lot, and I want to talk to Chad, my business partner. He's got really good advice. Because sometimes I feel like it's not significant enough, which is a weird thing to kind of say. It's like, well, you're helping thousands of people. I call them the underdogs. And it is impactful. But then I do wonder, like, if I created software, if I created hardware, if I did something else, would I impact even more people? And is that a better use of my time? And I think that's a really weird spiral that you could kind of second guess everything to nothing. So you second guess like, I don't know, it's not significant. I stop. But when I take a step back on YouTube, I'd say number one, I like meeting interesting people. Like it's provided a platform where today I'm meeting Tyler Hamilton, who is a famous bike rider.
Guy.
Yeah, I get to meet fucking Tyler Hamilton. Next week I'm meeting Patrick Bet-David. I'm meeting. I think what's been interesting about YouTube and my career for people to take away personally is I've been working in different categories where it's connecting me with different people. So now I'm in the YouTube world. So I'm meeting like Valuetainment, the Patrick Bet-David guy.
Love that guy.
Yeah. So I'm meeting him. I met Aaron Marino from Alpha M. I met the Yes Theory guys. So it's put me in a place where I'm like connecting with just really fascinating people. And I think that's a really interesting thing for everyone to copy. Like it could be in any category. It could be in e-commerce. It could be in health. Right now for me, it's in YouTube. So those people have been interesting. I have like sharing what I'm learning because it also forces me to learn. Have you ever done one of those things where I'm going to write something down for 30 days and you're like, oh shit, there's actually stuff in there. I didn't really expect that much. But because I know I'm going to do content, it's kind of forced me to like be more open and aware of what I'm learning. And then because I know I'm going to try to share it or I'm going to share it on YouTube. I think those have been some of the major things. And I honestly, like, I'd say the comments, like seeing the results in people. And I tell people in the videos, like, yo, leave a comment about how this has affected you. And I don't know how I've got such lucky to have such amazing audience of people who want to be a part of this journey. But they leave comments like, yo, it impacted me. Hey, I did the law of 100. Hey, I've tried this thing that you talked about. And at first I'm like, yo, are you sure it was me? And they're doing the work. It's all them. But being able to have that like kind of little impact, like one of the thoughts I've had is like, how is it? It's totally possible that the next Elon Musk could be in the audience, and they're watching a video and they've learned something and they've gone on to do it. And I think that's more of my job, which is promoting and cheerleading and encouraging the engineers of the world to go make stuff.
Or what if you discourage the next Elon Musk? Like he's gonna go build rockets, and you encourage him to make YouTube videos.
Yeah,
I'm like, wow, I'm making $12 a month. I guess I won't make rockets.
Well, I mean, it's fun. It's also fun, dude. It's been fun to like be creative. It's been fun to learn about like the cameras and the angles and come to studios and try this stuff. It's been fun.
Yeah. Oh, any downsides to it? Doing YouTube stuff?
I think if people are trying to make money right away, it's not a money making thing. Like if I did not have AppSumo as a money making business, and I didn't already have a lot of money in the bank, it would definitely be challenging. So you'd have to have a low cost of living. I think another thing with anything is that there is times where it's work. Like I have to go do work. Like I don't have to, but I'm choosing to go to the office. And I think it's important to choose it versus have to do it. But there's times where you're making videos, you're like, why am I doing a fucking video about like this thing? Like I'm making a video about a book report and I'm like, I don't want to make a video about this. And so I think that's being mindful of what you have to do and what you want to do. But there's times where it's a little boring.
It's funny. I see like a big parallel right now between like, I remember we met through blogs in like 2003 or something like early when like a blog was not even really a word back then. But like, I see a parallel between people who were blogging back then for fun. And they did it just because they liked it. They liked sharing the information. For some reason, writing stuff out and making pictures on the web somehow resonated with them. And those are the ones that went on to be successful generally because it was something they naturally do. Then it became a couple blogs got acquired and stuff like that. And people were like, whoa, you can make money with this. There's models to make money with this. So then people started getting into it just to make money. And some of those people did okay, but most of them don't last that long if they just get into it for money.
That's a great point. I think it's interesting to notice what you like to do for free in the morning.
For free.
So like for me, if there was no YouTube and there's no ad revenue or any of this stuff, I'd still be blogging. I've been blogging 20 years. I'm going to still keep blogging. And it's just I think for everyone, it's finding the thing you're going to do for free and then figure out how to make that your job. So if it's cooking, if it's interviewing people, if it's writing things, whatever that is, if it's making products, just find the thing you're like, hey, I'm just going to solve these problems. Like Tynan's a great example. He built a drone case to carry drones, so you don't have to buy the full cases. And he built his own tea holder thing. He talks about tea all the time. I was like, wow, man, like he just does that naturally. Me naturally, I'm like, oh, how do we sell that and make money on it? But I think also I've been like, because for me, I like the promotion and the writing and the sharing of that stuff. So I think it is finding that for each person.
And so how do you deal with that constant pull between like what the audience wants versus what you want? You kind of touched on that. It's like sometimes you wake up and you're like, oh, 9 ways to start a new business, and you're probably just like, oh, geez. like I mean, how do you ration that? What do you do? What do you think about that?
I think about this a lot. I'll tell you what, it feels good to win though. You know, it feels good making money, having people watch your stuff. It feels fucking great. So even if you don't like something, I will say if you do it and you know that people respond really well to it, it feels fucking great. I've always told people, one theory that I've always told and I liked from years ago is called the sex cash theory. You've heard me talk about this, right? Sex cash theory basically is, it's from the movie industry, but it applies to everything, which is Leonardo DiCaprio does Titanic, makes a lot of money. That's cash. And then he'll do Basketball Diaries where he's like a drug addict and all this shit and doesn't make a lot of money, but he'll get sex out of it because all these people are like, wow, that's really creative and he's going to have a lot of fun. And I've struggled it with the YouTube. The thing we thought about specifically yesterday, we had like an hour and a half talk with the team, was that are we making 1,000 view videos or are we making 1 million view videos? Right? And it's the same video. You can spend the same amount of time, but one video is going to appeal to 1,000 people and one's going to reach 1 million people potentially. And so with that being said, in terms of how I think about it specifically, it's what's the Venn diagram of what people want versus what I want to make? And I think there has to be some middle ground between those two. And what I've noticed with content creation specifically is there is a middle ground. Because like I put out 2 videos. Let me give you specific examples. I put out a therapy video, which I was just interested to talk about therapy, and a mountain biking video. Those are some of my least watched videos ever in the past few months. Did it not help people? And did they like it? Yeah. Did I enjoy doing it? Yeah. But it doesn't get watched. On the other hand, I put out a video like how to start a business, and it gets tens of thousands of views, like Millionaire Weekend. And so I think it's just right now, it's actually spending, I'd say the majority of our time thinking about what's the topics that we really enjoy and are popular, and then really spend more time thinking about that before we even make any of the content. So what we did 2 days ago is we went and looked up all the top Reddit posts in entrepreneur and small business, and we looked up all the trending YouTube videos. And so the way that I'm specifically thinking about it now is I call it FFR. So of these topics that we already know are guaranteed popular, which ones are fast for us to do, which means I don't have to have a high production thing, which ones are fun, so an FFR, fast, fun, and then which ones are repeatable. So with content creation, I've been really, really big on, if I'm going to do a video, can I repeat the video? Is it something I can do over and over and over? Like Shark Tank is every single fucking week because they know it works. And so we found like book report videos do well for me. All right, so let's think about those. We know that app videos do well. Like here's tools that we use to run our YouTube channel. Here's tools we use to run the business. Here's tools we use for productivity. And then like another category we're exploring is like people that make money in weird ways. So here's $1 million newsletters. Here's $1 million YouTubers. Here's $1 million whatever physical businesses. So I think it's what are categories or buckets, and then they should be fast to do and then relatively fun to make. So that's kind of more that the FFR is more what we're doing and spending a lot of time looking at what's already popular and then just putting them through those buckets and then making the videos. I think before it was just like, let me make a video today and talk about it, like something I'm interested in.
Interesting. I think there's a term for what you're talking about. Instead of like the sex cash theory, it's kind of chasing analytics. Chasing analytics is where you're just like constantly looking at the numbers and trying to optimize for that.
There's a balance of it. I mean, we definitely, I am analytical driven, and if you're doing a bunch of videos and no one's ever watching it, it's not really working. Mm-hmm. So you can fucking do that forever. But in terms of the law 100, it's like if you're doing it, but you're not improving and no one watches it, then.
Well, Eric from Beard Brand had an interesting take on this because they have like millions of subscribers, right?
Yeah.
And he's just like, if we chase the analytics, what happens is our channel turns into barbershop videos over and over. It's just people watching haircuts. That's it. The problem is a lot of those people don't buy our stuff. So he also talked about this matrix between like what you want to make, who's your customers, and then like what will actually just get a ton of views.
Wouldn't you just say though he's chasing the analytic that it's actually driving money? Because he's basically saying, hey, if I do all these videos, it's actually not driving to the revenue, which is an analytic.
I guess you could say that.
Yeah, I love you, Eric. True. Honestly, Eric from Beer Brand's dope, and he's like my Nordic dream. I don't know. I can see him like, I protect you with this X.
Yeah, like if we were a foot taller and had
but I think, I think the thing with analytics, it is fucking important. If you're just like making a bunch of videos and then you don't check anything, like that to me is the difference between an amateur and a professional. Mm-hmm. Like if you look at anyone who's a professional on YouTube or professional in business, they have bigger teams than you realize, and 2, they're fucking looking at the analytics and treating it professionally. So for example, recently we were looking at the analytics. And I'm like, yo, our subscriber counts are down, our watch time is down, and so let's try to actually look at the data to make a better decision about it. And what we noted is that the amount of upload minutes a week was significantly down, meaning we were uploading around 40 minutes of content a week to YouTube, and it went down to 10. And you could literally Mitchell on our team mapped that to the subscriber number. And it was like, oh, upload minutes was like almost correlated to the subscriber numbers. And so I was like, oh, let's just try to upload more quality minutes each week. And guess what? We did it the past 2 weeks, and now the numbers are starting to go back up. And so I think a lot of people are naive, and it's amazing if you can be naive and make a lot of money in business. But I think to go to those next levels of business, it is understanding the data and trying to make better decisions on that.
Is it overcrowded already? Podcasting, YouTube?
No,
blogging?
hell no. It's just beginning. Think about in like 50 years, like there's going to be so many content creators. There's the amount of categories that are available. I think what's fascinating for me about this whole world is the amount of new verticals being created is unbelievable to me. Like fish tanks, lock picking. My brother told me one last week. It's car recovery for a towing company. And then I think there's just like new categories that are always coming up. And then, so in terms of the beginning of it, no, I think it's just getting started.
Me and Joe Kelly were talking about it. We were just like, we both watch these like these sailing channels. I don't even sail, but I watch these sailing channels of families that just rent boats and go around the world.
Yeah.
They literally they're not doing anything. They're just recording themselves, like having fun, going snorkeling, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And like they make a full-time living out of this, and people send them like stuff. They make cash from their stuff. They have merch. This is their full-time job. Well, I think like just going around the world and traveling is now a full-time job for some people.
The only thing I would poke on that, not a hole through it. It's a job. And I think people think of it as just that they're partying. They're like, oh, you have a sailboat channel? You must be sailing all day long. Da, 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 da. It's like, one, to get to the point where you can just sail all day long and have your team do it is probably going to take a few years. Like I call it the 10-year rule. Like it takes about 10 years to make $1 million. That's what I've seen from almost anybody out there on average. Like, yes, there's like flukes, but if you want to create a business, get to 10 years, you'll make $1 million. Knowing that makes it a little bit easier. And also knowing that means you have to fucking start right now. But those content creators, number one, it's a job. Like I've talked to a lot of them. Basically, like even Aaron Marino, the Alpha M guy, or Seth's Bike Hacks, basically 8 hours a day is like recording, and then 1 hour a day is actually having the fun part of being on the boat or being on the bike or whatnot. And I think people kind of misconstrue that.
That's a great point, because it's so funny when you watch a video, you don't think about it. But then as we started getting more into videos, like I know both of us started getting more into cameras, editing software to a degree, all that kind of stuff. Whenever I watch some of these videos, I'm like, damn, they made like 19 edits on a B-roll clip, like a 17-second, or not even like 7 seconds. And you're just like, and it has the cool music in the background,
drone shot,
and then the music's fading in and out with their thing. Drone shots. You have to set up a drone, get a drone, take a bunch of drone videos, like several minutes of it. You have to upload it to your computer, download it, blah blah blah. It's so much work that you just totally take for granted. It's like a full-time production. These people are making movies every day.
Yeah, the two things I would say to add to that is, number one, like Mr. Beast had a comment recently that was really interesting. He said he'll spend 8 hours on like a 10-second clip.
What?
10-second clip, yeah. And with Mr. Beast as well, he's one of the most popular YouTubers. He's got a team of around 15 people per video. But we're like, oh, it's Mr. Beast who's got a camera, is doing this shit. The other thing I think is interesting is that people don't want to be content creators, which is fine. Not everyone wants to be on stage. Some people want to be behind the scenes. I think there's an unlimited amount of work now to either create software to help people like you and me make better content, or go be a video editor, or go be a producer. There's just like we have two people there. There's a lot of new careers that are supporting that. Right? Like I was thinking about the iPhone recently. Think about how many companies make products for the iPhone, for the glass, for the case, for like, oh, you can do this camera thing. And so I think there'll be a lot of jobs and industries created around content creators.
And that's just in the digital world. I'm always fascinated. I like the physical world in a way. Like there's a SRDS, I forgot what it's called, but there's basically an index for tax records of all the different industries out there. And there's like 14,000 different industries or something like that, at least in the United States. And I remember going through it, and you hear about like marble quarries. Let's say that. And you just read, like you just click on a random thing and it has drop-down lists. You can find this online. And then it shows like the sub-industries of that industry,
Interesting.
And it just keeps going down and down and down and down and down. So it's like marble quarries. Places that make attachments for tools that cut marble. Places that make the materials for attachments for tools that cut marble. Places that market for companies that make the attachment for tools. And you just go down this rabbit hole like further and further and further. And I think there's also this entire industry out there of like physical stuff that is not yet in the digital world. So imagine, like, let's say there's 2,000 companies that make attachments for tools that go to marble quarries, where they spend millions of dollars on every year, and you're the one that has a YouTube channel about that. Maybe you'll get 15 views on each thing, but one of those people could put in a $500,000 order.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you're basically complementing as a marketing channel, doing YouTube for whatever kind of business you have.
Yeah. So right now, I think like YouTube has very much dominated like larger industries that are interesting. to watch. But I think stuff like that, we have some clients that do videos for like high-end CCTV security and stuff like that. And they don't get a lot of views, but whenever a casino places an order, it's for like $19 million. Right.
That's awesome.
So I always find that kind of interesting that you actually don't have to be that good because there's just not that much competition. Whereas I think if you're like a family that's sailing around the world, I think the competition for that is really stiff.
Yes.
Like there's a lot of families that are really doing it well and they spend all their time doing it. Whereas if you're, selling quarry equipment, you probably don't have to be that good actually.
It does seem, I was thinking about this last night where have you gone on Facebook recently once in a while?
Yeah, not on the desktop version as much.
Well, yeah, on the desktop, I don't know. This makes me feel old. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, tell your peeps, man.
Yeah, what the fuck? I mean, I was like, yo, I don't know what
I literally can't use it.
I don't know how to use it.
Mobile, I still use.
But it did make me think about YouTube. It's like, wow, where are there more? It's so hard to use Facebook. I don't know how people are using it. I know how to use YouTube. I go to the site, check some shit, find the stuff I want to do, watch it. It just seemed a lot more interesting of a marketing channel for any type of business. So if you're doing any type of company, like if you have a physical business, I talked to someone yesterday, they do e-bikes. And he's like, yeah, my brother makes a lot of e-bike YouTube videos, which helps drive his e-bike business.
So I don't know how to I need to make a name for this, but it's kind of like the one view thing. It's one view, something about one view. I remember one time I was at a party and there was a CEO of a company there. And everyone was like, oh my God, it's that guy.
Which guy?
I'm not going to say. Okay. But he came up to me and he was like, yo, are you Neville? And my friends were with me and they were like, what? How does this guy know you?
That's cool.
He's like, dude, I follow your blog. And so he followed my blog for a while ago, and specifically like the homeless experiment or something like that.
Yeah,
and I just remember thinking, I was like, of all the people that saw that, this one counts. So you never know that like one person viewing it can really impact your life way down the line. So even if you're, okay, let's say like your therapy video or mountain biking video or whatever, let's say it only gets like 800 views or whatever's low for your channel. Imagine like 7 years down the line, some big higher up people, someone saw that and then they meet you and they're like, dude, no, I love mountain biking too. I don't really give a shit about your business stuff, but I love mountain biking. Like that one view can actually impact your life in a huge way. And you just kind of don't know. You just don't know.
That's a good point. I mean, yesterday I sent out an email to my mailing list and then James Altucher replied to me. He's like, hey, you want to come on my show? I was like, you're on my mailing list?
The one view concept.
Yeah, one view. Yeah. I mean, I think the two things, I was like doing things in twos. I think the two pieces I would say for everyone else out there, no matter what your age is one, putting yourself out there creates those types of opportunities. So putting it out in blogging, putting it out in audio, put it out in whatever video. So number one, just put yourself out there because that creates chances. Like that's how me and you met. Mm-hmm. I think the second thing that I've been more mindful of, and I'm, over the years, I think I've done a good job of it, is this year or the upcoming year, I'm doing a thing called 52 Weeks of People. And so it's like each week, I just want to meet one cool new person. And I copied this from a Reddit thread, which was, now that I'm retired, here's how I think about life. And he's like, each week I just try to have coffee at the same place with one interesting person. And so next year, it's like, I want to try to just meet one cool person a week, no matter what kind of industry. Like I got to meet Huel, like the drink. It's like the Soylent kind of competitor.
Oh, Huel?
Yeah. Anyways, I was like, I don't know if I want to meet him, but I was like, dude, that's pretty interesting that they create a food product and all this kind of shit. I was like, yeah, I'll add him to the list.
I feel like you kind of naturally do that already, right? With the podcast video, you just mentioned all the people that you're interviewing. You're kind of meeting more than one person a week already.
Yeah, I just want to meet 52 weeks of people. Just sounds good.
Yeah. It does sound
cool.
I
just think it's like, all this stuff is man-made or woman-made. Like all the money, all the items, and like all the things that we create significance around. And so I think for all of us, it's like, just find the shit that you're interested in. And I think ultimately that's how you also make a lot of fucking money. You're like, hey, I'm interested in blogging. Like if you watch Mr. Beast, he loves making fucking videos. When he talked about, if you watch his first video, it's really fascinating. He posted it a few weeks ago. He's like, hey, I just love making videos. I'm not going to go to school. I just want to do this forever. And then he said he left his mom's house because she's like, you have to get a job. He's like, I just want to keep making videos. And this is when he wasn't getting any watches.
So he's just doing it naturally.
I think
something that he was naturally doing for free in the morning anyway. And then he somehow found a way to make money from it.
I think what he committed to is that I think everyone has interests. Like I think if you're above the age of 10, you probably have some interest. And over 20, it's like those ones are probably going to stay. And so his was video making. I think what he actually did exceptionally well was he kept trying and kept trying and kept trying. He looked at the data. If you actually watch his stuff, he talks about data. He found the thing that worked, which is these giveaway videos. Like, I'm going to give away a fucking Tesla if you can hold my dick for 4 hours, right? And then he was like, holy shit, these go viral. And so all of his videos are now that. And then if you look at all the top trending channels, top videos, it's like we put our hand on a Tesla and the last person takes it off wins. And so it's like, oh, that's popular today in the content creation world. He was, take a step back. That's popular today. So for me, it's like, how do I replicate that in my own world? But the point I was making is like, I don't remember the point originally.
There's a guy named Vsauce that did a similar thing like that. Vsauce is a popular science channel on YouTube. And he talked about this, and you can go back to his early videos. And he actually talked about, he was just like, I want to make a popular YouTube channel. And so he was very methodical. He was also a good video creator already, right? So, he has that going. But he's like, I want to make a popular YouTube channel. So he started off with video gaming. And even though video gaming is huge, for whatever reason, he was just not appealing in the video game world. Like, people just didn't like him as much. And so he started making this random, like, what if everyone on Earth jumped at once? What would happen? And he like breaks down what gravity equations and stuff like that. Yeah. So he did that. That went totally viral. He did another one. It went totally viral. So he's like, all right, well, guess what I'm doing from now on? Now I'm a science channel.
Yeah. So find the thing you want to do for free, which is the point, and then find the part of it that works, and then repeat the fuck out of it.